Hi, this is Ron Nate. I'm with the Madison Liberty Institute. I'm a senior fellow and founding board member. And I'm joined today with Greg Pruett from the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. Greg, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your organization?
Yeah, like you say, my name is Greg Pruett. I'm the president of the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. We are a grassroots nonprofit gun rights group here in the state of Idaho. And I founded the organization back in 2012 because I kind of got sick of politicians going on the campaign trail telling me how pro Second Amendment they were, and then they get to the Capitol and do absolutely nothing to fight for gun owners. And it got really frustrating because I'm a veteran and I had served in Iraq, and I got these folks who are telling me that they've taken this oath to defend the Constitution, and they weren't really doing that. And that got really frustrating. So that's why I started the organization, because I wanted something that was local to Idaho, kind of like you guys are. You're a local think tank here in Idaho, where we're a local gun rights group. And for us, with everything that's happening with the Second Amendment, we wanted something local to protect Idahoans from the onslaught that has already started here on gun rights.
That's great. And so how long have you been organized?
Since 2012, August of 2012. So we're coming up on 7 years here pretty soon.
Wow, that's amazing. And can you tell us some of the successes that you've seen in Idaho regarding gun legislation that you've worked on and helped promote?
Yeah, so my primary goal when I started the organization was to pass constitutional carry, which means you can carry without a permit. You don't have to get permission from the government. And what was kind of interesting is I thought going into the 2013 Idaho legislative session that we would just pass constitutional carry and I could go back to living a normal life. And turns out I was wrong and very naive about how much people, the legislators I thought cared about gun rights. And so we, for 4 years, fought that battle along with you when you were in the legislature helping us push constitutional carry, and finally got that passed in 2016. We've overturned over 60 anti-gun ordinances or had signs taken down in parks and other public buildings across the state of Idaho. We've also led the fight for a better stand your ground law. They got some stuff passed last year, but honestly, we want a lot better. And right now, we are currently moving legislation through to expand constitutional carry to more of our young adults. So we've had some great successes so far.
That's great. And as I recall, I think it was 3 years ago that constitutional carry first passed in the Idaho legislature, but it didn't go all the way. For some reason, some other gun groups kind of get in the way and they have their own agenda, but things like requiring state residency to be able to carry without a permit was left out of that, or it was included in that where it shouldn't have been, and also eliminated to 21 and over. And so it sounds like you're working on the age one this year.
Yeah, we're working on the age one. And again, this just goes back to why in the world, is it so hard to do this stuff in Idaho? And especially because Idaho is in kind of a unique place where most states that have constitutional carry, it's either everybody or it's only for residents in the entire state. Well, Idaho has this weird carve out where inside of city limits, it applies to all Idahoans, but outside of city limits, it applies to everybody, including those who are 18 to 20 years old. And we're like, do you become incompetent once you cross the city boundaries, or it just doesn't make any sense. And so, yes, we've, since that first constitutional carry bill passed in 2016, former Representative Carrie Hanks, who lives down in your guys' area, she was helping us for the last 3 years try to push that. And now Representative Christy Zito is helping us push. But yeah, it only applies to the 18 to 20-year-old portion. We're going to have to come back next year if we get this other one through and get rid of the non-resident portion of that.
Okay. And this year's bill is about extending it to 18 to 21-year-olds. It's House Bill 206.
Correct.
It passed the House convincingly. What's its status in the Senate?
Yeah, we're actually waiting right now to hear from Representative Zito. She went to go meet with some senators this morning. They're trying to get a hearing. Obviously, the legislative session is supposed to be over on next Tuesday. And so if we don't get a hearing right now, then we're kind of out of time. And so we're hoping the time doesn't run out before we can get a hearing. They can move it through the Senate pretty quickly if they want, and we'll see what they do.
Cool. Switching topics a little bit, and by the way, the Madison Liberty Institute is supportive of our Second Amendment rights. Madison Liberty Institute is a strong proponent of constitutional rights and making sure that Idahoans enjoy all that are guaranteed in the Constitution. So in this area, at least with the Second Amendment Alliance, we are great partners in preserving and protecting those freedoms. So we're happy to work and help in any way we can. But switching topics a little bit, your organization started out with you and maybe a couple friends in 2012. Can you tell me about what your organization looks like today?
Yeah, a lot, man, a lot different than what it looked like in August of 2012. I remember sitting back there and thinking, what are we getting ourselves into? Let's start a Facebook group and we'll just, me and a couple friends, we'll talk about gun stuff. But I wanted it to be more than just people who got online and whined and complained that something wasn't being done. I wanted to be an action-oriented group. In fact, the first meeting I think we ever held, we were going to start these monthly meetings, and we hold our first monthly meeting in September, and like 7 people show up, and I'm like, okay, I need you to do this, and I need you to do this, and we need this. And they're like, wait, we're going to work? And I'm like, yeah, we got work to do, and it was, oh, we don't want to work. That's a little bit too much. And so we've gone from that to now tens of thousands of members and supporters all across the state of Idaho. And, it's gun rights. And so we tend to have the hardest hitting and most controversial topic in the state, but it's the topic that everybody in the state loves, or at least, the people who enjoy liberty. And so gun owners tend to mobilize pretty quick and in relatively fast fashion. I'm sure that you've been a part of getting lots and lots of emails from gun owners when you were in the legislature. And so it's, truly humbling to see how far it's come from. We were no money and completely broke trying to start this thing. And now, last year, I think we raised $90,000 and that's all gun owners. We don't have big businesses that support our organization. We don't have, some rich donor that's dropping $100,000 on our group. It is literally gun owners across the state donating $25 here, $5 there, $10 a month or whatever they can afford. So I love that grassroots feel most, I think, about our organization.
Well, that's awesome. You are one of the most powerful lobby groups, if I can call it that. It has such a bad name.
Yeah.
Interest groups there in the Capitol. You get things done where others struggle for years and years to get something done. If you don't mind me talking about this, I'm looking at your banner behind you, sharp-looking banner, No Compromise Gun Rights Group. I respect that. You practice a form of politics that is a little bit different. A lot of times I see advocacy groups gently go and talk to their legislators, send some emails, sit down and meet with them. But you found success in another way. Do you want to talk about how your methods for getting results?
Yeah, we call it confrontational politics. That's usually an off-putting word for a lot of people, because when you think of confrontation, you think of, the way that Christ taught was, to avoid confrontation, but it's really more about accountability. I think that's probably a better term, is that we just hold people accountable. We get people actively engaged in the political process. And one of the, it used to just be me, right? In the beginning, I was your typical lobbyist. I'd go down, try and meet with every legislator and convince them that my way was the right way. And eventually I realized, what am I doing? I'm just one person barking in the wind. Why not mobilize the gun owners to be the lobbyists? And so you don't see me down at the Capitol every day. I'm not down there right now, and session is in. But a lot of these lobbyists are well paid, and they go down and they kiss the rear ends of all the politicians in the Capitol and tell them how wonderful they are and shower them with gifts, and they take them out to lunch every day. And I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time doing that, because they shouldn't be listening to me. They should be listening to the people, right? The people who elected them. And so we activate the people in their districts and, hey, there's a pro-gun bill. Are you going to co-sponsor this pro-gun bill? Oh, I'm not going to co-sponsor that. Okay, well, now we're going to drive down to your district and let your people know, who you promised you were in favor of the Second Amendment and you would do all you can to protect it. We're going to go down to your district and we're going to start passing out literature in your district to let them know you're not doing your job. And we call it confrontational politics, but that's accountability, right? We're saying you're breaking your promise to the people that elected you. Now we're going to hold you responsible for it. And and most of the legislators hate that. They hate that the gun owners are active in the process, and they hate that we'll actually hold them accountable to their word. And that's, in the end, that's all the difference is we activate the grassroots to be the lobbyist, rather than just me going down there and yelling at legislators about pro-gun stuff.
And we can't deny the effectiveness of it. You have been very powerful in what you're able to do. You've got constitutional carry through. Idaho was, I think, the 7th or 8th state to finally get that done. We should have been the first state, but with your efforts, we were there in the top 10 and getting it done. And the accountability is important because I don't know, well, I do know kind of what other legislators' experience is that a lot of people don't know what their legislators actually do.
Correct.
They don't know where they are on issues. They don't even know a lot of their votes. And so we rely on places like the Second Amendment Alliance and the Madison Liberty Institute to inform citizens of what their legislators are actually doing. And you've been very effective that way, and you deserve a lot of credit for it.
Yeah, you bring up something important. A lot of people don't know what is happening behind the scenes. Everybody's busy, right? Everybody is busy with their own work, their own lives. And the last thing a lot of them want to do is sit there and try to research every single issue for guns and education and pro-life stuff. They don't want to take the time to do that necessarily. I think they should, but I get it. It's a very busy world right now. And so, the Madison Liberty Institute and the ISA, we can narrow that down as quickly as possible. Not only that, but because of our growth, we've been able now to where I can send out an email and say, fill in your address, hit send, and now you've sent an email already to all 3 of your legislators. And so we try to make this as simplified as possible. But people have got to do more than guns. They've got to look to the Madison Liberty Institute and others to say, okay, what is happening on the pro-life front? What is happening on the education front or the medical front or whatever it is? And those groups have to be out there to notify them as quickly as possible. Here is this bill. This bill is dangerous or this bill is good. You need to contact your 3 representatives right now and tell them, because gun owners, like I said, I have a very easy issue. I'm going to be full disclosure there. I have guns, and gun owners will activate really, really fast and in large numbers. But we need that to happen with other issues as well. People have to care more than just about guns. They need to care about everything that's going on in their state.
Awesome. Can you tell me what you think the chances are of getting your bill passed this year, the 206?
It's been a kind of a weird session because generally what happens is we push the most pro-gun bill that we can, and then other national gun groups come in and undercut us and water it down, and they compromise and put some gun control in there. And usually our bills just stay stagnant in some chairman's drawer. As former Chairman Tom Lurcher found out, that's not a good idea to keep drawing gun bills because he got tossed. But I don't know. Honestly, we're farther than I actually thought we were going to get. So I'm a little perplexed right now at how far the bill has already gotten. It's close. I mean, we've been told that Senator Lodge was open to having the hearing and everything. But again, with the time limit, we're going, okay, we're almost out of time here. So I think we have a good chance. But again, if it doesn't move here in the next few days, then we're gonna run into some time problems. So.
And then next year, get to work on the stand your ground and the residency part of constitutional carry.
Correct. Yeah, we definitely need a better stand your ground, and then getting rid of the residency requirement inside city limits for constitutional carry would be next on our agenda. And then eventually some definite campus carry reform for sure. So.
Well, awesome. It's been great talking with you, Greg, learning more about the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance and the good work you do. I appreciate you visiting with me today, and just keep going like you're going. You guys are great.
Yeah, well, we appreciate the Madison Liberty Institute reaching out to us and giving us a little bit of a voice. Got to get out more in southern Idaho for sure. So, but we appreciate all that you guys do for freedom, and we need those brush fires, as you guys mentioned. And that's kind of what we were. I think we were a brush fire back in 2012, and that ignited into something much bigger. And I think that's what you guys are going to be able to do. So
that's great. I appreciate it, Greg. You have a great day.
Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it.